everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome back to Rachel Davis Nutrition. Today I'm going to be talking about our immune function and how we can optimise that through our diet and lifestyle. So immunity is obviously a hot topic at the moment. We're in the middle of a global pandemic and we're also just about to get into winter. So everybody's thinking about increased risk of infection, bacteria, viruses, etc. But there's lots that we can do from a natural health point of view to optimise the environment for our immune system so it can function to the best of its ability. So to kick things off, I thought I would just talk a bit about what the immune system actually is. To call it one system, I think is a bit simplistic because actually it's a really complex combination of processes and structures, which is in a kind of constant calibration and balance. Essentially, it is designed to mount a response to any threats or potential invaders or pathogens. But it also has to be able to bring the body back down to normal after that threat has been neutralised. So it's about this kind of constant seesaw in terms of reacting to any potential invaders. There's lots of stuff in the press at the moment about boosting your immune system, which I find to be quite a difficult phrase to understand because there are so many nutrients that are needed in order for the immune system to work effectively that the idea that there's one or two single sort of silver bullets that can boost our immunity is a little bit simplistic. I like to think about optimising the environment for our immune system to function. Because inevitably we are going to get infected with something at some point, that's just part of life. But we want to have the nutritional reserves in order to be able to mount an effective response to that threat, neutralise it, but then bring the body back to normal afterwards. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. So to kick things off, I'm going to talk about my 5 basic principles. These 5 basic principles underline pretty much everything that I believe in terms of how we can optimise our overall health. So it is pretty basic, but if we can get these right, it really is going to help us to create a really excellent environment for our immune system. So the first key principle is making sure that we have a balanced, varied and whole food diet. Okay, balanced, varied and whole food. So whole food, we want to be eating things in their most natural form. We don't want to be overindulging in processed foods with lots of additives, lots of excess sugar, excess alcohol, excess caffeine. So really looking to have things in their most whole food, pure form, because that's going to be their most natural form. We're also looking to ensure that our diet is varied, okay? I'm so guilty of eating the same lunch for 5 days in a row. Now, that might be a healthy lunch, but it's going to have the exact same nutrient profile. Whereas if we're really varying our meals, including lots of different vegetables, different whole grains, different protein sources, we're going to be getting such a broader array of nutrients, of phytochemicals which come from plants, of antioxidants, all of which are going to feed into that optimal immune environment. And finally, balanced. So we want to be thinking about having a really well-rounded diet. So we're including good quality protein, slow release carbohydrates and healthy fats in adequate quantities. So quality protein is really important for tissue repair. It's also important for fighting infections from bacteria and viruses, but it's also essentially the building blocks of our immune cells. So we need adequate protein intake in order to fulfill those functions. Healthy fats are also a really key part of managing our inflammatory response. So inflammation is part of an immune response. It's how the body deals with a potential threat. However, we need to make sure that that response is adequate to the threat. So we're not overreacting, so we're not going into too greater inflammation, but also that we can bring that inflammation back down again once the threat's been neutralised. And healthy fats, particularly your omega-3s and omega-6 fatty acids, are really important for that. And obviously carbohydrates, slow release carbohydrates, that's our energy source. So we need that energy, otherwise we're going to be depleted. Ultimately, that's going to leave us at a greater risk of infection. So we are thinking about a balanced, varied and whole food diet. That's number one. Number two, super simple, hydration. So we want to be looking to make sure we have 2 litres of water a day. Now, obviously that doesn't just have to be cold water. It could be in the form of herbal teas. So that's anything non-caffeinated. Particularly in the winter, I find it really difficult to drink lots of cold water. So I make sure that I up my herbal tea intake to ensure I'm still getting the adequate hydration. Obviously, if you're exercising a lot and you're sweating, then you're going to need to increase that even more. But the reason why hydration is so important for immunity is that in order for the nutrients that our immune system needs to get to the immune cells, they have to be carried around in our blood, and our blood is predominantly water, so we need adequate hydration in order to keep those nutrients circulating. Equally, our lymphatic system, which is used to remove any waste and toxins, but also to help transport our white blood cells, which fight infection, that also requires lots of water in order to kind of keep it flowing properly. So hydration is super key. Number 3 is sleep. So making sure that we're getting good quality sleep around 7 to 9 hours a night is really important for optimizing our immune environment, because if we're chronically sleep deprived, ultimately, again, we're going to be depleted and we're going to leave ourselves at greater risk of infection. However, also, cytokines, which are proteins which fight infections, they are produced whilst we sleep. So if we're chronically sleep deprived, we're not going to be producing an adequate number of those cytokines. So make sure that you're really thinking about how much sleep you're getting in the week and prioritizing that. Number 4 is exercise. So exercise is obviously a great mood booster. It boosts your endorphins. It helps to reduce stress, but also it's great for circulation. It's going to really help those immune cells to circulate around the body, help those nutrients circulate around the body. So that's a really kind of easy way to make sure that we're helping to optimize our immune function. At the same time, if we go too far the other way and we're overtraining, that will actually suppress our immune function and again leave us at greater risk of infection. So if you've just trained 5 days in a row and you're utterly exhausted, maybe think about giving yourself a break, listen to your body, get some rest, go for a nice gentle walk, and then pick it up once you feel a little bit more rejuvenated. That's going to make sure that you look after yourself and your immune system much better in the long run. And finally, number 5 is stress and managing stress as best as possible. Not easy at the moment in the middle of a global pandemic and obviously the implications of that. But when we are chronically stressed, we have chronically high levels of cortisol, which is our kind of key stress hormone. And this actually suppresses immune function. So it basically inhibits a lot of our immune system from working. So in order to allow our immune system to function effectively, we need to try and manage our stress levels as well as best we can. So those are my 5 basic principles. I'm going to talk about those a lot in the future, but if you can nail those, then you're going to be going a long way to optimizing your immune health. Now, I'm going to talk about a few key nutrients. So whilst we know that there aren't single nutrients that are going to be total kind of superstars in terms of immune function, because they all work in different ways at in different parts of the immune system, these 6 that I've picked out are certainly integral to the overall picture. So trying to think about including foods that are rich in these nutrients in your day-to-day life is going to be really important. So number 1, believe it or not, is vitamin C. Everyone thinks about vitamin C when we think about being run down, and there's a good reason for that, because it's a really powerful antioxidant and it contributes to a lot of different immune functions. So vitamin C doesn't necessarily just have to come in the form of citrus fruits, which is what we always think of first, but actually your dark leafy green vegetables, your berries as well, they're really great ways of getting vitamin C into your diet. Another key antioxidant and modulator of the immune system, which means that it's making sure our immune system is responding adequately, is vitamin E. Good sources of vitamin E are nuts and seeds and avocados. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble nutrient, so that means that it's absorbed much better with fats. Nuts and seeds and avocados are obviously already healthy fats, so they're a really good way of getting vitamin E into your body in the best way possible. Number 3 on my list of key nutrients is vitamin D. So lots of talk about vitamin D at the moment, but it essentially enhances our innate immune system, so that first line of defense. But a deficiency in vitamin D can really increase your risk of potential infection. So vitamin D comes predominantly from the sun, so the body produces it when exposed to sunlight. However, it has to be a certain level of sunlight, which we don't get in the winter months in the UK. So I would certainly advise looking into a good quality vitamin D supplement. So speak to your pharmacist, your health food shop. There's lots of different ways you can get vitamin D. It might be in a tablet form, it might be in a sublingual spray. There's also lots of information on the NHS website. You can get vitamin D from food, just not to the optimal levels that you require. However, including vitamin D rich foods, so oily fish, eggs, mushrooms, that's going to certainly help contribute to ensuring you're getting what you require in terms of levels of vitamin D. Number 4 is zinc. So you quite often see vitamin C and zinc packaged together in supplement form, but zinc is used in lots of different immune functions, but is especially important for the normal development and function of cells in the innate immune system. Zinc is found in shellfish, in legumes, nuts and seeds, and in meat as well. So ensuring that you're including those in your diet is going to make sure you're getting a good dose of zinc every day. Another key mineral is selenium. Selenium is another antioxidant, but is particularly important in bringing the body back down to normal after it's mounted an immune response and there has been inflammation. Selenium really helps to kind of lower any excessive inflammation and manages oxidative stress. It's found in Brazil nuts, in sardines, in sunflower seeds. You don't need really high doses of selenium, but it is certainly super potent when you get it in its optimal form. And finally, I'm going to talk about iron. So iron is particularly important with regards to immunity when we're deficient in it. When we're iron deficient, we're often then anemic, which again is going to leave us really depleted, low energy, fatigue, lethargic, which ultimately leads to greater risk of infection. This is particularly relevant for women because I find that a lot of women are particularly iron deficient. So think about including iron-rich foods in your diet. This doesn't have to mean red meat, although red meat, good quality red meat, is a good source. But think about spinach, broccoli, legumes, pumpkin seeds. They're all really good forms of iron to have in your diet on a regular basis. So my final point for the day is to remember your gut health. So believe it or not, 70% of your immune cells live within your gut. So in order for an optimal functioning immune system, we need our gut to be working properly. Now you'll know if your gut isn't working properly because you probably have been getting a few symptoms such as bloating or abdominal pain or constipation. So let's think about including fibre-rich foods in your diet to make sure that the gut is moving effectively, Also reducing sugar, because that can really damage the gut microbiome, the good bacteria in the gut, and help the bad bacteria to thrive. But also think about fermented foods. Fermented foods such as kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, they're a really great probiotic. So that basically means that they're already filled with lots of good bacteria, which are going to really help your gut to function effectively and therefore optimise that immune environment. So I hope that's been helpful. I know there's quite a lot of information there, but really it's just scratching the surface when it comes to immunity, because it's such a complex system, but there's lots we can be doing from a natural health point of view to put ourselves in the best position when it comes to supporting our immune function. I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will see you next time.